What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the 10-7 MMA show. And yeah, we're back every Mondays and Fridays. We took Friday off, obviously, because of the long weekend, but back every Mondays and Fridays at 1:20 p.m. PST. Sorry, we're a few minutes late today. But there is quite a bit of stuff happening and going on in the world of mixed martial arts, particularly in the UFC, but also beyond. But in the UFC, even though we didn't have a fight card this last weekend, we got some cool stuff coming up. But it's been more of a gossip fest, I guess, relating to Ian Garry, which we're going to touch on a little bit. We're not going to spend too much time talking about his personal life. But mostly what I wanted to do today, and Justin as well, is do a quick recap of the UFC 297 card. This main card is ridiculous, in my opinion. I mean, I can't really think. I think maybe there was one card in July that might have been, in my opinion, is stacked, but it's quite stacked, and every fight is an exciting fight and an exciting matchup. So let's definitely talk about it, and we'll get some predictions. Justin, how you doing? How's your Thanksgiving? We were both in Michigan, actually.
Oh shit! When were you in Michigan, dude? I would have drove out and could have had a drink or something.
I know, but I basically flew in Wednesday afternoon and I flew back Friday morning. So it was short. I didn't see any of my buddies because I just wanted to go quickly and hang with my parents, and that's it. So just a little bit of family time. But we were both there. It wasn't actually too cold. But yeah, back in LA, you're back in Vegas. So
no, I'm not. I missed my flight yesterday. So I booked my flight for 9 p.m. I booked it for 9 a.m., but I thought it was 9 p.m. So I missed. It was like $500 to book the next flight out. So I'm still in Michigan, dude. I'm stuck in Michigan for at least till tonight.
Oh, damn. Well, that's a bummer. But I'm kind of jealous at the same time because I wish I could have stayed longer with my parents. But
sure,
that's a bummer. I had no idea. All right, well, you'll be back soon, hopefully. But let's get into it, and we're going to kind of go top down. And I think it's cool because the final fight we'll talk about is Vicente Luque versus Ian Garry. We can touch again on some of those things, like I said, that we mentioned, because it involves your boy, Sean Strickland. So let's get into it. First, let's start with Leon versus Colby. I mean, holy smokes. I saw the Michael Bisping podcast this morning, or his YouTube channel. He was talking about how this press conference is going to be just, I mean, dude, what is this press? Like, we got Colby, we got Paddy Pimblett, we got Tony Ferguson, who's amazing at press conferences. We got Ian Garry, who is completely nuts when he goes against an opponent. It just makes up reasons to hate people. Remember what he did to Neil Magny, which was not, so this press conference is going to be so wild. Colby, he's going to definitely try and get under Leon Edwards' skin. But aside from the presser, skill for skill, what are your thoughts? Professional opinion.
I think this is a great matchup, honestly. Really what's going to dictate in this fight, or what's going to be the biggest telltale sign of the fight for me, is going to be the first round. Is Colby going to be able to put him against the cage and take him down? Leon's going to be working on, his cardio, of course. He's going to have to be able to go 5 rounds, a championship fight, which he's done before. But can he withstand the pace of Colby Covington? A couple fights ago, before he fought Usman, he fought Nate Diaz. 5th round, Nate Diaz cracked him. Nate Diaz jumps on him. He could finish Leon there. Now, was Leon fatigued, going into the later rounds? But then you look at him against Usman, he didn't look like the later rounds didn't phase him. But Colby, I think, is going to have a different pressure than Usman presented himself, and definitely more than Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz is, is a volume striker, but this is going to be a different kind of pressure. This is going to be that wrestling, grappling pressure, and throwing big bunches. I'm really excited for this fight. I'm choosing Colby in this. I'm saying and new. I really think Colby's going to be able to put a pace on him. Usman, when he fought Leon, wasn't the same fighter than when I feel that Usman, when he fought like Masvidal, or when he fought Colby as well. I know he's had some injuries going. He has some bad knee injuries. So, I think it's going to play out a little bit different. Colby versus Leon than it did Usman. I really think Leon's going to have a hard time keeping up with that pace.
Interesting. Okay. I have a different opinion. By the way, we don't manufacture different opinions on person by any means, right? I'm just telling you what my thoughts. And I have a different vantage point. You're actual fighter. And I like to always come at it some degree from a psychological perspective, from listening to all the interviews. I gotta and also I listen to what other people have said as well. Some people have said that, for example, yes, that pressure is a factor, or even the smack talking might be a factor, but essentially what I've heard people say. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I know that Usman does have these knee injuries, but essentially they're saying that Usman brings a similar type of game as Colby does, but he's stronger, he's bigger. So it's more of the relentless pressure, but definitely Usman would have the edge on the strength. Now, but when I talk about the psychological perspective, I mean, I try to listen to all the fighter interviews because I find them interesting. And Leon, even since before the second Usman fight, or really the third Usman fight, technically, he's just so brimming with confidence, and it feels so genuine. It's not like putting on a front of any sort. Like, he's just so overwhelmingly confident that he was going to beat Usman, which he did the second time pretty easily, or pretty definitively. And he feels so confident that he's going to beat Colby. I'm leaning on that side. Plus, you saw his amazing takedown defense. You saw him even take down Usman. I wouldn't be surprised if he throws in a takedown. So I'm leaning towards Leon, but it would be a lot of fun if Colby won. I gotta say, it'd be a lot of fun.
And I think it's biased speaking, hoping that Colby wins just because he's so theatric and, he's a great interviewer. When you see him in an interview, you never know what he's going to say. He's a diehard Donald Trump fan, and he almost kind of takes that under his wing there and kind of runs with that. Now, I'm not saying, again, I'm not making an unintelligent guess here that Colby's going to win. The first round to me is really going to be the deciding round, how the rest of the fight's going to go. If Usman comes out and stuffs 3 to 5 takedowns in the first round, I mean, Colby's going to have a long night. But I just, Colby, this is his chance to get it back. If he doesn't win a belt, if he goes 0-3 in title chances, I mean, is he going to get another shot, or how many more fights is he going to have to win to get another shot? So, I mean, he has to see this. This could be his last try, and it's against a new opponent, a fresh opponent. I think it's more. My prediction's more what I hope happens. I love Leon to death, but I don't really care. I don't care for him as an interviewer, and I don't really care to hear him on the mic. I mean, he does okay, but it's not Colby Covington.
Colby, so Bisping was talking about this morning. It will be Colby's last title shot. I mean, I think that makes sense. He's already had he's had 3, right? He fought Usman twice. No, Usman is it his?
Yeah, he fought Usman twice.
Yeah, so this will be his 3rd attempt at the belt. I don't think you're going to get another shot if he loses here. And he's 36. What factor do you think age is going to play here? Leon Edwards is 32. Colby's 36. Do you think that's going to happen? Yeah.
Colby is going to have some miles on him. He's been in some wars. He's a very high level grappler. You start to get to your mid 30s like me, dude. I wake up and it's like, man, I feel like I went drinking last night. Wait a second, I went to bed at 10 o'clock. Like, what the fuck? Like, your body just isn't the same anymore. You don't recover the same anymore. I've really had to change my training regimen due to injuries, and I can't train with the same intensity. So depending on Colby's camp and Colby's coaches, he might be going through some of that too. Also, take the mental aspect of it. Like you said, this is his last chance. He's not an idiot. He knows that this is his last chance. So he's going to be doing everything possible to secure him as the UFC champion, because once you get that belt, nobody can take it away from you, whether you win or lose your next 5 fights in a row or lose them, 5 in a row. Once you're the UFC champ, you're stapled in UFC history. So I think this is going to really mean a lot to him. Leon has been the champ. He's defended against Usman, and Colby knows this is his last chance, and that's gonna put some fire in, or put some wood into the fire. And I really think that Colby's going to come out hard here.
It's really exciting because I think in either scenario, if Colby wins, it's going to be wild, and who knows what's going to happen next in the division. And if Leon wins, I think it's really exciting too. A really solid UK champ beating Colby and Usman. I think that's going to really help to bolster his legacy and take him to wherever he wants to go. I know he's talking about moving up to middleweight potentially. I mean, who knows? But all right, well, so there we have it. So you're picking Colby, I'm picking Leon. Let's see what happens. All right. The next fight, and just in full disclosure, this is probably the one that I know the least about, but the new flyweight champion Pantoja is fighting Royval. What do you know about this fight? I gotta be honest, like flyweights, I love Brandon Moreno. I love Manel Cap. Do you know who that guy is?
I don't.
Oh, dude, the guy is so funny. He's amazing. I mean, and I know Pantoja from the title fight, but Pantoja's not somebody that I followed a lot, right? I know he beat Moreno before. He beat him again, whatever. I know he's Brazilian. He's awesome. He had an amazing fight. But do you know too much about this Royval versus Pantoja matchup?
I'm going to be honest. Pantoja, I just know from him beating Brandon Moreno, being very fortunate enough to train with Brandon, know how hard he trains. I'm really not that involved in the lighter weight division, like a 125 division. The only guys that I really focus on are my teammates. When Brandon was at Extreme, that's I was really involved, or mentally involved. I wouldn't say I was physically involved with his training camp, but I was rooting for Brandon. I knew he lost to him early. I really thought he was gonna defend his belt or get win the title fight against Pantoja. Pantoja came out impressed. Anybody that can put Brandon Moreno, put pace on Brandon Moreno, that's an impressive fighter. Unfortunately, I can't say I know anything about his appointment, Roval.
It's all good. So I'm looking up his record right now. He's actually already he's lost to Brandon Moreno and Pantoja. He lost to Pantoja back in 2021, and then he's been on a 3-fight win streak since then. So I mean, I guess the logic would say we would probably favor Pantoja since they've already gone toe to toe and Pantoja won. So that would be kind of my feeling there. But I guess we'll have to see. By the way, just as an aside, I'm 5'10". I would fight at flyweight. You know how much I weigh right now, by the way, since I've been doing all this work on my gut and taking all these probiotics.
140.
Dude, I'm 133.
No way. Let's go, dude. 125. Here you come, dude. You got to make your debut soon.
Yeah, I only have to cut weight, and I'm 5'10". Imagine, like, most of these guys, which is insane. I mean, they kick my butt for sure, but like, how tall is he? Oh, wait. Wow. Brandon Royval's 5'9". I don't believe that. There's no way.
I mean, what does it say Moreno is? Moreno's like, I mean, when I stand next to him, I feel tall, and I'm definitely not tall. I'm 5'7", so.
Yeah, there's
probably
no
5'4", 5'5".
Yeah, there's no way any other flyweight would be as like, because I'm 5'10", and I'm like a freak the way that my weight is distributed. I have like really skinny legs. But anyways, okay, maybe I'll be contending one day.
Yeah, sooner than later, man. Better late than never. Come on, man.
My wingspan, my wingspan is like over 6 feet. So yeah, but anyways, all right. So moving on to holy smokes, Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Wonder Boy. I mean, I'm pretty sure I know who you're gonna pick in this, but like, I'm still so fascinated by this matchup. I think it's gonna be amazing. I think Shavkat's incredible. I think he's gonna be a champ soon. But yeah, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with you in that. Shavkat's the man right now. Wonder Boys, he's getting older. He's relatively one-dimensional in MMA, and I really feel Shavkat's going to bring everything to the table: wrestling, grappling, striking. I think he's going to be too much for Wonder Boy. Unfortunately, I'm a huge Wonder Boy fan. I don't think there's a single person in the MMA community, whether you like the PFL, UFC, Bellator, that doesn't like Wonder Boy. I mean, he's a class in the cage, out of the cage. He's an extremely well fighter. He's one of the only traditional martial artists that are still left around. If you think like you have Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, you had Lyoto Machida. I'm trying to think some old school traditional martial artists, but from right now, from my standpoint, he's one of the few traditional martial artists still around right now. So, I mean, if I'm going to be honest, I really hope Wonder Boy wins. I love him to death. I've been fortunate enough to meet him a couple times. Never trained with him, but I've met him a couple times through the UFC PI and at Extreme Couture. He's a fucking wonderful human being. I wish him the best. I hope he wins. I just don't see it happening. I really just think Shavkat's going to bring everything to the table, and he's going to mix his MMA game. He's going to mix his wrestling with his striking. It's just going to be too much for Wonder Boy.
So here, I want to just look up. So I believe that Wonder Boy is now 40. So he's just a little bit younger than me. And hold on, I'm going to double check Shavkat's age. He was born in, oh God, dude, Shavkat's so young. He's 29. Damn. I mean, how much of a factor does that look? Wonder Boy to me seems so healthy. He lives a really, I think, a pure life. So I imagine he's in tip-top shape for being 40. No, yeah, I feel great at 43, but not a professional athlete. But like, how big of a factor is that? Just that 11-year age gap, and 29. That's pretty close to your prime, right? Your prime's usually around like 33, 34, right?
Yeah, I usually say I think MMA primes anywhere from 28 to 33, 34. Like right as you hit 30, you're getting into your prime. But you take it, dude. Guy fought Tyrone Woodley twice, man. I know it was one of the most boring fights you could ever see, but to take shots, like he did, and I can't remember the exact outcome. I just remember it being a terrible fight. But in that fifth, man, he's been around. I think when Shavkat was 18 years old, he was watching Wonder Boy in the UFC. So those years add up. I mean, 10 years, he's 29 to 40. 10 years, Stephen Thompson was 30. Shavkat was 19. Like, he was nowhere to be seen. Wonder Boy was taking miles in the UFC, or at least in MMA for sure, if he wasn't in the UFC. I think it's definitely going to play a factor, man. Like I said, once I hit 30, everything started to change as an athlete. And I can't imagine how I'm going to feel when I'm 40. I mean, you look at Wonder Boy, he looks great. He's in great shape. He's still very fluent. But I mean, maybe he has. I mean, you can't be that age and go through what he's gone through and not have reoccurring injuries on the daily or the weekly. It just doesn't happen.
Minus 465 is the odds for Shavkat. So
that's probably about right. I mean, what is
that?
Yeah,
that's probably about right. Last thing I want to ask: has he ever trained with you guys at Extreme Couture, Shavkat?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Anyways, exciting prospect. I think a lot of people are seeing him to be champ within a year, maybe a year and a half. So that's super exciting. Another really fun prospect, just like Hamzat. I'm so glad they're not in the same division, by the way, because I want to see both of them just tear it up and not kind of come on a collision course, at least not yet. Moving on to arguably the people's main event, would you say, or Luque? Yeah, no, this is the people's main event.
100. Yeah, this is 100% the people's main event for sure.
So good. And like, oh my God. Okay. Let's talk about it. Tell me, and have you been seeing, I've been watching a lot of the Paddy interviews and a little bit of training footage. He looks good, man, in terms of his shape and his weight. He looks sharp in training. And then we've all been seeing Tony Ferguson training with Goggins. What are your thoughts?
So, I mean, Paddy is, I wasn't sold on him at first. You know, he fought a teammate of mine, a friend of mine, Louis. I always pronounce his last name wrong. And, you know, I was like, Louis did a short notice fight. Louis is super tough, super good black belt. And then he fought my other teammate. I just drew a blank. He just fought last weekend. Fuck. Why can't I think of his name? Monkey God.
It's the one. What is it?
Levitt. Jordan Levitt.
Oh yeah, Jordan Levitt. Yeah, that's right. Jordan Levitt.
Yeah, he fought, and I train with Jordan on the weekly, and Jordan is a tough motherfucker. And when, you know, I see Paddy beat Jordan, I was like, all right, this guy, you know, he has a little something. But then something really stuck out to me. He has these theatrics. He loves to talk shit. He gets on the mic in his presser. He's running his mouth. He's dancing. He's acting like a fool. And when I saw this, I'm like, this guy's a fucking clown. Like, he's gonna go the 0-2 barbecue. He's gonna be cut. They might bring him back in a couple years. But then I saw something that maybe you've seen, maybe you haven't seen. But I want you to pay attention to the next fight. When it comes down to it, he's gonna talk shit. He's gonna be running his mouth, doing all this crazy. But when Bruce Buffer starts calling off his name, a switch turns, and you'll see it in his eyes. He's not laughing anymore. It's not a game anymore. He's dead serious. He's locked on his opponent. He enters the zone. So I really think that Paddy has this mental edge right now, even though, you know, he has lost. I don't think he's all he's cracked up to be just yet. But he is fighting an old, worn down Tony Ferguson. So if he has a good training camp and is able to turn that switch, he might be able to get Tony. Now, the flip side, I am a Tony Ferguson fan. You saw that he's training with David Goggins. He's the first athlete to make it through David Goggins' whatever hell week or whatever that shit is that he did, which is very impressive. So we know Tony's going to be in shape. But can his body hold up? His body still has to hold up a full training camp, a full MMA fight. This isn't Hell Week. This isn't he's going to sprint till he pukes. This is another human being trying to break his bones and break his face. Can Tony's body hold up through a whole training camp and the fight? I sure hope so. You know, I don't like making a prediction because I know what I want to happen. I just don't know if it can happen. And I want Tony Ferguson to win so bad, man. I want him to go out in the blades of glory. I want him to knock this punk off. You know, but if Paddy shows up and flips that switch, it's going to be a tough night.
Okay, so let me give you my thoughts on the fight, and I don't even know who I want to win anymore because I'm pretty conflicted, and it's one of those fights where, I mean, who doesn't love Tony Ferguson? I love Tony Ferguson. I was a huge Paddy fan. I soured on him a little bit, and let me tell you why. So, you know, a lot of people turned on him during the Jared Gordon fight because of the way he acted, and, you know, but like that to me wasn't even a big deal. Like, he thought he won. I mean, I'm sure your perspective gets so skewed when you're fighting. I can't even imagine how, you know what I mean? Like, big deal. He thought he won and maybe he lost. Like, that never bothered me. The thing that I thought was always started to think was weird about him was, you know, the way he went after Ariel Helwani was a little bit strange, and I thought maybe unfounded, but whatever. He did that, and he got some backlash as a result. And I think that's why maybe I started on him a little bit. I am an Ariel fan, and it just seemed out of nowhere. And the other things that kind of stuck out to me was like the way he would eat. I mean, everybody talked about it, right? I just didn't understand how you could be serious as an athlete about the sport and have so much buzz around you and like do something like that, sabotage your body in that way. I mean, it's like doing drugs basically, right? And it to some extent. And then I remember people would always talk about how he keeps his head high, keeps his chin high. And he's like, yeah, mate, even if they tell me to put my chin, whatever, however his accent is, he's like, I don't care. Like, people have been always telling me that's how I fight, mate. That's how I fight. So he was like kind of being stubborn, both on the diet front and on like these basic fighting techniques of like tucking your chin just to prevent from, getting KO'd or whatever. So I'm like, if you got that type of attitude, I don't see how you can actually be successful and rise up, whatever. But now you look at him in training camp, he hasn't ballooned up. So I have to believe he's finally woken up. I think because of all the criticism, I think all that criticism was great for him. He's so humble now. He's talked about how it's been a really rough time. I mean, he alluded to being severely depressed since he's been getting all this backlash and all this negativity. And I'm sure that's very difficult. And he's young. Like, I think it's been horrible. He just got married. But when you go through something like that psychologically, when you go through these deep and dark times, a lot of times, he's got to be a mentally strong person. He's a UFC fighter, right? But I feel like that's done something really positive to his mindset. And when you listen to him now in interviews, I feel like he's taken it so seriously. From that perspective, I feel like Paddy's got the edge, and I feel like he's the younger guy. He's serious finally, and he's got the skills, and I think he can. He's gonna pull it. So I'm bummed about it. Really bummed about it for Tony, because I'm imagining. I mean, what do you think? If Tony loses, you think he's gonna get cut?
I mean, it's about that time, man. It's he's lost a bunch in a row. It's look at when he fought Charles Oliveira. His arm was basically broken. He's got kicked in the fucking face by Michael Chandler. His fucking head got kicked into the rafters. Like, for his well being. I never, as a fighter, I never personally want to retire. I want to be 50 years old, still fighting. I'm not saying in the UFC, but still competing.
Yeah.
And I know he feels the same way. But if he can't beat Paddy Pimblett, like, what is next for him? Like, an undercard against a guy that's 5-0 or 5-1. Like, unfortunately, Tony just he was one of the best in the division at one point, man. And Tony's given us so much, to so many great fights and so many memorable fights, whether win or lose. Like, I don't want to see him lose to Paddy Pimblett. Like, that's so deflating from an ego standpoint. This loud kid is going to come in when you were one of the best in the division. Remember, he was supposed to fight Khabib Nurmagomedov fucking 100 times, and something always happened, whether he got injured or or Khabib got injured. And now he's not fighting arguably the greatest lightweight of all time. He's fighting this young, up and coming, loud dude. I mean, you go from scheduled to fight the greatest of all time, arguably. I don't think he was, but some people say he was, to fighting this up and coming guy that's what, 2 or 3-1 in the UFC. Like, and if he loses, that is a really big bummer. And I know the UFC is trying to catapult Paddy, and they want him to win. They need him to win, because they need some star power right now. But if Paddy loses to Ferguson, it's just a lose-lose situation. I feel like Tony wins. Well, guess what? UFC just lost all their star power with Paddy Pimblett. If Tony loses, one of my favorite lightweights of all time, one of the nicest, lightweights of all time, is going out losing to this up and coming kid. And I just don't want to see that happen to him.
Man, now I'm bummed out about this fight.
Maybe I just have a different perspective because I'm a fighter, and it fucking sucks, being the old guy trying to take on these young up and coming guys. When he had a bunch, like I look at one point when I knocked out Frank Camacho, I broke into the top 70, in the world, and I know that's not number 1 or number 10, but it was a great feather in the cap for me. And now, fuck, I go to the regional scene, and I've lost a fight now, and it's just really tough. It's just not how you want to go the route.
You know how stoked I'd be if I was ever considered a top 100 fighter in my weight division in the world, like even for a second.
But what's crazy is, honestly, that was my thought. My goal was to get to the top 100. Then I got to the top 100. Then I wanted to get to the top 75. I got to the top 75. And now I don't know, man. It's a weird feeling. It's once you accomplish the goal, you set your next goal. And if you fall short of your next goal, you feel unaccomplished. And that's unfortunately how my career ended up. When I got to the top 75, I was ranked 70th. I was like, all right, time to get to the top 50. And then I never cracked the 60. And unfortunately, it's just, I always said, if I can make the top 100, I'll be set for life. Then I made the top 75, and I'm like, all right, if I make the top 50, I'll be set for life. And I never did. So I feel unaccomplished, actually.
You move the needle, but then I imagine too, and then whatever direction we go in, and on the next journey, the next venture. But I think it's always good to keep moving the needle. It doesn't have to be in this realm, I guess, per se, right? But like then you'd be like, all right, now my next goal could be being whatever it may be once you move beyond fighting, right? So I mean, I think that's a positive thing to keep moving the goalpost for yourself, but in a healthy way. I mean, I do it all the time as well. So again, that link between, I think, UFC fighters and entrepreneurs especially is so strong. It's one of the reasons why I love the sport so much. Okay, now let's go to the fifth fight on the card. Luque versus Ian Garry. And there's been so much drama about Ian Garry. I feel a little bit bad for him, to be honest, because he's just been getting destroyed by Red Pill MMA, by MMA Guru, who's been actually not that harsh on him, but he's been talking about him and his personal life. I'm sure that's uncomfortable. Even Jesse on Fire. So everybody's been kind of having a little bit of a field day. And I don't want to go in so much into the person, but I do want to touch on it a little bit. But before we do that, let's talk about the matchup. I mean, Ian Garry, so talented. Everybody knows how talented he is, how driven, how young he is. What do you think? Does Vicente Luque have a shot?
Yeah, it's an MMA fight, man. Vicente Luque definitely has a shot. But right now, Ian Garry is red hot. His last fight, I was so impressed by. He comes out, puts on a striking clinic, more than I ever thought he would. Now, the thing with Ian Garry that has really catapulted him into why we're talking about him is his trash talk. You know, he really caught me off guard with how good his trash talk coming. He sounds like a young Conor McGregor, and he has the red hot hands to go with it. I think all the momentum's behind Ian Garry. I really hope he doesn't get distracted by this social media bullshit. You know, it's I feel really bad for him because people are talking about his personal life. And, you know, I know as a fighter, like you're going to be exposed as a professional athlete in any sport, you're going to be exposed to the public. But all these little birds that are talking about his personal life, say it to his face. You know what I mean? Like Sean Strickland. All right, Sean will say it to his face and back it up. But, you know, I like Jesse on Fire a lot. I don't know how much shit he's talked about him, but he gets his ass beat. If you and I talk shit about Ian Garry, we're both getting our ass beat. So, you know, I try to not talk too much shit because, you know, I've been in some weird situations, especially in from a relationship standpoint. So, hey man, to each their own, whatever makes you happy. You know, if you know, you like older women, hey, fuck, I love older women, man. It's, you know, I know there's a weird thing going on with that, but again, that doesn't affect me. That doesn't affect you. That doesn't affect other MMA podcasts. And I wish him the best.
I wish him the best too, and I feel very similarly to you. Okay, so just talk about the fight, and then I'm going to jump back into some of the things that have been going on just in that whole drama thing. But for the odds, okay, right now it is negative. What is it? -2, -280. Ian Garry. So it's not a huge favorite in the odds. Not like what were we saying? Shavkat versus Wonder Boy, but he's definitely got the edge. I think it's going to be an exciting fight. I mean, does Vicente Luque, in your opinion, have a huge ground game advantage, or just or how big?
I'm not going to say it's a huge ground game advantage, but he should have some ground game advantage. I haven't really seen Ian Garry on the ground. I haven't seen him have to work his wrestling. He plays his range so well. He's very hard to get in on his legs, and you know he's going to be striking as you're trying to come in. You know, it's. I mean, as a 3-1 favorite, I mean, fuck, Vincent only has to win one fight out of 3 times for this to be a profitable bet, basically. I don't know what the other odds were. Would it be like plus 310 or something?
He's plus, -280, and he's plus 163, or plus 210 at the worst.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. So you'd have to win 2-5. You know, I think it's a fight I'd stay away from. I mean, there's not very much value. I mean, unless you're, you know, putting a couple hundred down. I think Ian Garry is just going to be too sharp. And again, momentum is a thing in MMA. When you start to lose in MMA, I mean, ask Tony Ferguson. When you start to lose in MMA, it becomes a lot easier to lose again and again and again. When you have the momentum of winning, I mean, that carries over your confidence, your ability. You know, when you believe in yourself, you know, like Ian Garry does. The only thing I could see hindering him mentally is his personal situation right now.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about the personal situation just a tad bit. I have been following it. It's not like the most exciting and interesting thing to me, but it's literally all everybody's talking about this weekend, I think, because there was no UFC events. There's the PFL event, but the streamers were mostly talking about that stuff. And you know me, I watch a lot of this. So here's the gist of it. Look, you're right. Like Ian Garry is married to a woman who's older than him, and I guess like some people are having issues with that. She wrote, okay, so I'll tell you what a WAG. You're asking what a WAG is. A WAG, I think it's an abbreviation for wives or girlfriends of like athletes. So it's basically like if you want to try and be a WAG, you're going to try and marry a successful footballer, a successful MMA athlete. Now, she wrote a book, literally how to be a WAG, like a how-to guide. And you can hear some of the audiobook. MMA Guru found it and he started playing it. Actually, I think Red Pill MMA found it. I mean, it's crazy, but she's like,
let me get this straight. His girlfriend or his wife wrote a book on how I didn't know that. I heard that, but I thought it was a joke. That's real.
No, it's real. And that's why Sean Strickland, your boy here, I'm going to find it right now. I'll show you the cover. Here, look, but I want to tell you what her response was to it, because I listened to that and a lot of people aren't talking about that. But here, how to be a WAG. It's probably getting so many sales right now. What's her name? Here, I found it. Wait, hold on. How do I do the share screen again? Give me 1 second.
Is it Wealthy Athlete Girlfriend? Is that what it stands for? I'm not sure.
Here, I'm gonna tell you 1 second. Wait. So then how do I do the share again? New layout. Oh, cancel. Wait, hold on. I did this last time and I'm forgetting. Give me 1 second. Brand private. Wait. Here we go. Present. Oh, present. Here we go. Okay. So share screen. And we'll do this. So ridiculous. Okay, you see this? How to be a WAG. That's his wife. Layla.
Oh my gosh. Why does it say $0?
It's probably, I guess it's free right now on Kindle, but okay. Wow, it hasn't gotten that. Okay, so not that many people still rated it. I bet you people are slamming them right now just because of all the stuff. But look, okay. How to be a WAG, the ultimate guide to catching the man of your dreams. A hot new career option is to be a WAG, and we're here to tell you how to become part of the most prestigious wives and girlfriends club. That's what it is. Ever dreamed to walk in the footsteps like Victoria Beckham? Sure, this guy does everything. Okay, so anyways, they've been going off on people and saying all this stuff, kind of responding negatively, and then MMA Guru's like, yo, you wrote a book. You wrote a book. He's like, I'm not making this up. You really, like, how can you get mad at us? Like, this is what you wrote a book on. Okay, so this is what her response was. And I think this is what Sean Strickland saw this. And he's like, I didn't even know what a WAG was. And he was advising Ian Garry. He's like, yo, you got to leave her. She's a succubus, all this stuff. And here's the thing. If I saw a TikTok or some video that she posted responding to all of this. And what she said was, I actually believe her. I don't think she was lying. She seemed credible when she said this. She's like, this was a satirical book. And she wrote it for another publishing company when she was working for somebody. They wrote it back when she was working for somebody else. They released it. It got a huge buzz because everybody thought it was hilarious. And so that's her. Oh, see, it was when she was at OK Magazine. It says right here. So that's when that's why she wrote it in her defense. And I mean, it is ridiculous. Like, she talks about, you need about $10,000 to like get a new wardrobe, make sure your hair is done well, and all this like stuff, and how to like dress up. You don't even have to be like amazingly hot to like do this. You just have to present yourself in a certain way, but like, you know what I mean? Like, giving
you need to do the whole show in an accent. That's that's what I'm deciding out of this.
I can do a much better accent than that, but you know what I mean? So like, in her defense, that's what she said. And it seems logical. It seems reasonable. What she's saying is legitimate. But anyways, bottom line is he's getting so much crap. Everybody, like Sean Strickland's going off on them now. And then their argument, okay, I'm going to go back to our regular view. Then their argument now is they're levying defamation claims against Sean Strickland. I think even against potentially MMA Guru and stuff like that. Now, I do want to mention to the audience, don't have a big audience yet, right? But to the audience, people who are watching, listening, I am an attorney. Now, this is not to be construed as legal advice. I do want to put that out there, but I'll give my 2 cents on defamation. I'm not defamation and libel. Those were never my specialty. I was a patent attorney, but I will say this. The crux of defamation hinges on one important key element, and that's false information. And I don't think Sean Strickland or anybody has anything to be worried about, because I don't think they've spread any lies, at least not intentionally so. They're just sort of like commenting on what's going on, just like we're doing right now, right? We're commenting on the book. Like, I don't know what the situation is. I don't know what's really going on, but that book is out there. It's on Amazon. It's still up there, so whatever. But I just wanted to say that I think that this is a tactic that they're doing to try and get people to slow down or stop. And I kind of understand why. I wish they wouldn't go to those lengths, because it's just like stirring up more issues, and it's unfounded. It's really not. It's not a legitimate defamation claim, I don't think. I mean, I don't know all the facts of the case, but Anyways, so I think that's where we at. I don't think anybody has anything to worry about, but I think they're under a lot of fire, and that sucks. The last thing I want to ask you about is with all this drama and all this stuff that's going down, how do you think that's going to affect Ian Garry's performance?
I mean, this is going to tell a lot about his character. He's going to have to. I mean, that is a thing. Like this. There's the craziest statistic that I had. From a mental aspect. And a personal. So in like 2000, I think it was like 2009. My record as an amateur was like 10-1 on the whole year. And then my sister died at the end of the year. She was in a car accident. She passed away. I thought that I was good mentally. The very next year, my next 7 fights, I went 1-6.
Oh.
And when I fought, I felt fine. Like I didn't feel mentally just bothered by it, and by any means, like, dude, why am I losing so much? But the only difference before in 2009 going 9-1 to 2010, where I went 1-7 or 1-6, was my sister passed away in a car accident. So there's these subconscious monsters that will play a role in these, and if he feels like he's being talked to like less of a man because of his situation, this could play a factor, especially at where he's at right now. He's not fighting on the regional scene. Every fight he has, including Vincent Luque, they're killers, man. And if they're more focused and he gets caught slipping, it could be a quick night for him. So we'll see. I'm hoping that, I really hope, and it's something in the last couple of years, that fighters are hiring mental coaches. I know when I was in the UFC, I had a mental coach where I'd sit and talk to you every day about my problems, about my worry, about my anxiety in and out of fighting. And I really hope that he has somebody to talk to like that to get through this.
I'm sure he does. He's got to. I can't imagine, because he gets so much attention. A lot of it's negative nowadays. So I bet you he does. He's got his wife. He's got his team. So hopefully, wish him the best, wish all the fighters the best. But this is going to be an incredible card in Vegas. How amazing. That's it. That's all we got for today. Thank you guys so much for joining. We'll be back on Friday to discuss whatever else goes down. And there's some cool fights coming up. Anil Dariush versus Sarukian, I think. Armin Sarukian. I think Bobby Green is now going against Jalen Turner this weekend. That's going to be sweet.
Yeah,
so bummed that Dan Hooker's out, but that would have been, I think, even more fun. But this would be a great fight. So we'll see what happens. See you guys on Friday. Thank you guys so much for joining. If you do like what we do, make sure to hit that subscribe button and check out the new logo. It's all up. So
is the logo up? Oh, let's go. I want to share it.
It's all up. Yeah. All right. So guys, thank you so much for joining, and we will see you in the next video. Take it easy.